The King's Avatar, Chapter 1560 Chat Statistics. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1560, Chat Statistics. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Sumuchung's dancing rain was situated on the left canyon wall. Yishu's Lord Grim was situated on the right canyon wall. Tyranny could interfere with Sumuchung's influence on the left through their usage of the uneven surface of the canyon wall and dazzling Hundred Blossoms light cover. However, there was nothing they could to stop the attacks from Lord Grim's side. Tyranny didn't make any adjustments. The threat posed by the left and right was not equally balanced. In terms of long-ranged capabilities, Dancing Rain's firepower was more fearsome. Most of Lord Grim's long-ranged attacks required him to rely on the differences in height to land. This meant that Tyranny was at the very edge of his attack range. These sort of attacks were relatively easy to dodge. The problem was that constantly dodging was tiresome. Zhang Jialei's Hundred Blossoms style was also very mana-hungry. Previously, he had used his skills rather lavishly so that Sumuchung would not be able to cycle through her skills perfectly. Keeping up this Hundred Blossoms cover would be too wasteful. Fang Rui's trash talk popped up in the public chat during Tyranny's predicament. In the next second, a few of Tyranny's players could see him. Why only a few? Because all 5 of Tyranny's players were sticking close to the wall, and the wall was not straight. By moving along the wall, their vision was restricted. Fang Rui had said that he had arrived, but to put it more accurately, his appearance hadn't been proactive. Rather, it was because Tyranny had constantly been pushing forward. Once they reached this area, Boundless Sea, who had been waiting by the walls of the canyon, could finally see Tyranny. Boundless Sea had been gathering chi in his palms. The viewers weren't surprised. They could see the communication between Happy. While Yishu and Sumuchung had been harassing Tyranny, they had also been informing Fang Rui of their location. When the time came, Boundless Sea began charging spirit reaches to the rainbow, waiting for Tyranny to enter his range. Tyranny appeared. So Fang Rui released the chi. Spirit reaches to the rainbow. Boundless Sea moved laterally. As a result, the chi that he released moved somewhat differently than when standing. The chi formed a rainbow, but instead of cutting through the sky, it moved along the wall in an arc. Pierced through all of Tyranny, skewering him like Tangulu with spirit reaches to the rainbow. Fang Rui had been charging his attack for a long time. The viewers had noticed it a while ago, but to Tyranny, it was very sudden. The moment Fang Rui typed out his message into the chat, he had already released his attack. This was his usual tactic of using trash talk to distract his opponents. It was inherently different from Huang Shaoshan's trash talk, who did it simply because he was talkative. The one at the front of Tyranny's formation was Han Wenking's Desert Dust. Body block it? No. The class advancement skill, Spirit Reaches to the Rainbow, had even higher piercing power than the launcher's laser beam. Unless he had a shield or if the teammates behind him wouldn't be hit by the attack, there was no way for him to lower the destructiveness of the attack. Don't block it. If he didn't block it, then his only option was to dodge it. But would the others behind him be able to react in time? Because of their formation, Desert Dust was blocking everyone's line of sight. Han Wenking could see the arc of the Spirit Reaches to the rainbow vividly, but the others behind him might not be able to. It was very possible that they were looking around trying to find where that dirty bastard was. Fang Rui's choice in positioning and timing was dripping with dirtiness. It was dirty to the point that normal viewers weren't even aware of the dirtiness. Only the experts who put themselves in Tyranny's position would know just how disgusting this attack was. Perhaps taking the hit would be the wisest choice. At the very least, they would be able to maintain their formation. That was what many pro players believed. Han Wenking's Desert Dust stepped to the side though, dodging the attack. Behind him, Dark Thunder also stepped to the side. Behind Dark Thunder, a movable rock stepped to the side. Then, River Sunset. And finally, Dazzling 100 Blossoms. Tyranny's chat was completely clean, but all of Tyranny reacted nearly simultaneously and stepped to the side, dodging the spirit reaches to the rainbow. This was a silent trust that the person at the front, their captain Han Wenking, would never make a meaningless move. It was a trust that everyone would act promptly and effectively to not delay the next player's action. WuxaWorldAudio.com. And just like this, the dirty attack had been avoided through the tacit coordination between Tiany's team members. Throughout this process, there had been no communication through the chat. Not even an exclamation point. The Alliance had a stat specifically to track how many messages each team sent every match. Of the 20 teams in the Alliance, Tyranny typed the fewest words, whether it was in the team or the public chat. The team chat was mainly used to communicate information and strategies between team members. Less communication in the team chat meant a higher level of team synergy. The messages would be short and precise. Tyranny's current lineup had only been created last season, yet they had already reached such a high level of synergy. Much of it had to do with the experience and awareness of the old generals that supported the team. This statistic had become a measure of a team's strength. Behind Tyranny in terms of messages in the team chat was the defending champion, Samsara, and then Tiny Herb. All of them were top teams. There were exceptions, of course, such as Team Thunderclap. Their performance in the regular season had been outstanding, but for them, not only did the number of messages in the team chat not decrease, it increased. This was because CO Shiking's shot calling had become more detailed. Another notable example was Team Blue Rain, but that was because of a very obvious reason. This statistic for Blue Rain was skewed heavily because of a certain outlier. Apart from that, there was the statistics for the number of messages in the public chat. The public chat was used as communication between the competing teams, which mostly consisted of trash talk. This statistic was more dependent on the personalities of the individual players and didn't reflect a team's strength. Of course, for the same reason, this statistic for Blue Rain was heavily skewed. In comparison, the team chat statistic for Happy was very average. Their communication wasn't as concise as those of the top teams, but it also wasn't as noisy as those of most new teams. On the other hand, for the public chat statistic, Happy was in the top 3. It could be seen that their talent for trash talk wasn't low. End chapter. The King's Avatar, Chapter 1561 Scheming Tyranny, audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1561, Scheming Tyranny. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Tyranny dodged Fang Rui's precisely calculated attack by relying on their extraordinary synergy with one another. An attack had been dodged, that was all, but it was a very meaningful dodge. The average viewers might not understand, but the pro player chat group did. As the pro players praised Tyranny's coordination, Tyranny promptly went back to sticking close to the wall. The 5 players were like a wave rising and falling. The spirit reaches to the rainbow pushed them aside, and when the chi moved past them, they fell back into place. The attack had missed, and it hadn't even been able to create an opening for Sumuchung. The rise and fall had happened in the blink of an eye. Tyranny's members were already back in their original positions. Of course, Fang Rui's calculated offensive wasn't done yet. The moment Boundless Sea fired Spirit Reaches to the rainbow, he began preparing for the next attack. Dragon Wave. Boundless Sea attacked again. The chi swirled into a dragon that flew towards Tyranny with a roar. This dragon wave could be controlled manually by the player. As a result, the attack would be more nimble. Tyranny wouldn't be able to dodge it mechanically like the last attack. However, Dragon Wave didn't have the same sort of piercing power as Spirit Reaches to the Rainbow. On Tyranny's side, Han Wenking's Desert Dust rushed forward and activated Reinforced Iron Bones. He was clearly planning on tanking the Dragon Wave. On the battlefield, it was never a good idea to go along with what the opponent wanted. This was the only way to firmly take the initiative. Han Wenking wanted Desert Dust to tank it, but Fang Rui wasn't going to let him. With a flick of his wrist, Boundless Sea lifted his arm, and the Dragon Wave rose into the air, passing over Desert Dust's head. It was only by going against what the opponent wanted would you be able to disrupt the opponent's rhythm. But Han Wenking's rhythm wasn't broken. The Dragon Wave flew past his head, but his movements hadn't changed. Continued charging straight forward. Ahead was Boundless Sea. Since the Dragon Wave missed, he might as well attack Boundless Sea. With a sudden burst of speed, he instantly closed the distance between them. The Dragon Wave that flew past Desert Dust made Fang Rui feel like it wasn't going to make it. On the other canyon wall, Yi Xiu noticed that the situation on Fang Rui's end wasn't looking good. Tyranny had suddenly changed their intentions. Happy was making it uncomfortable for them to their left and right. As a result, they began letting to take the offensive. Desert Dust's charge was simply a prelude. Tyranny was planning on ignoring the two long-ranged harassers and going straight for the kill on Boundless Sea. Desert Dust didn't turn back, tearing apart Fang Rui's original plans. Tyranny never lacked courage. Despite knowing that Happy had likely set up an ambush, they still pressed forward because they were confident that they could break through Happy's arrangements. It was true that they had become more cautious, but their direct play style hadn't changed. Boundless Sea was their target. Desert Dust threw a heavy punch. Behind him, Dark Thunder, Immovable Rock, Dazzling Hundred Blossoms, and River Sunset stopped hiding near the wall and spread out. Next, Fang Rui need to figure out which target for his Dragon Wave to pursue. But right now, Fang Rui had no time to hesitate. In the blink of an eye, Desert Dust arrived. Cancel. Fang Rui wanted to cancel the skill, but suddenly, a figure appeared in what he felt was a very convenient position. Nice. Fang Rui was delighted. It was obviously better not to waste a skill. The figure was in such a perfect position. Fang Rui didn't hesitate and turned the Dragon Wave. But that figure seemed to know that the Dragon Wave would come. The figure suddenly moved outwards, and Fang Rui instinctively followed the other side's movements. But then, he realized, not good. Pooh. Desert Dust's fist smashed into Boundless Sea. The Dragon Wave was interrupted. Boundless Sea was sent flying like a broken kite. His gaze was still fixed towards the figure that had baited him into continuing with the Dragon Wave. Although in reality, he didn't need to look to know who it was. Lin Jingyan. Whether it was personality or tactics, no one was more familiar with Fang Rui than Lin Jingyan. Only he would have the awareness to bait Fang Rui into not cancelling his skill. Fang Rui was a very experienced player, but like Ginger, the older, the spicier. Heroic leap. Lord Grim jumped off the canyon wall and fell rapidly. Tyranny had acted quickly, and Yi Xiu didn't react slowly either. As soon as he saw Desert Dust swing his fists towards Boundless Sea, he immediately gave up on trying to interfere through long-ranged attacks. The long-ranged capabilities of an unspecialized, whether it was damage or CC, was too poor. Heroic leap. Lord Grim leapt into the air and then plummeted downwards. He had reacted fast, but Boundless Sea had already been sent flying. Tyranny noticed his movements and immediately spread out to surround him. Tyranny's 5 players stood quite far apart, making it difficult for Su Mucheng to cover all of them. With a character attacking them from above, going near the wall wasn't Tyranny's only option. They had simply been making the best choice in that situation. At that time, Happy only had 2 people in front of them. With the others on Happy in unknown locations, they erred on the side of caution and prioritized defense. Now, not only was their left and right being attacked, Fang Rui was harassing them from the front. Tyranny took action and immediately scattered, splitting Su Mucheng's attention as each of them locked onto a target. Desert Dust continued to attack Boundless Sea. The Reming 4 set up a net, intending on catching the falling Lord Grimm. Satellite Beam. Dancing Rain let out a high-level skill. Her purpose wasn't to attack, but to defend. The powerful beam of light seemed to envelop Lord Grimm as he fell. The smaller pillars of light immediately began to revolve around it. Under this protection, Tyranny couldn't easily attack Lord Grimm. Only Zhang Jialei's dazzling 100 Blossoms could shoot a few bullets at him from afar. Zhang Jialei set up a light cover, engulfing the satellite beam and the surrounding area. Zhang Jialei wasn't just attacking. He wanted to use the light cover to shield his teammates. At the same time, it would prove a hindrance to Su Mucheng. The 2 sides seemed to have no way of immediately attacking each other. However, Zhang Jialei's 100 Blossoms style was too grand, requiring an enormous consumption. Soon, because many of his skills were on cooldown, he had no way of keeping up the cover of light. But gradually, as the light dispersed, it revealed 2 figures that were unexpectedly rushing towards Boundless Sea instead of Lord Grimm. River Sunset and Dark Thunder, 2 fighter classes, also targeted Boundless Sea. Their intentions on surrounding Lord Grimm had been a feint to seal off Yi Xiu's next movements and to attract Su Mucheng's attention. With the cover from Zhang Jialei's dazzling 100 Blossoms, by the time their intentions were revealed, Happy would have lost the opportunity to respond immediately. Boom boom boom. Su Mucheng's Dancing Rain tried to stop them, but both fighters had activated reinforced iron bones. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. Under Super armor, they marched through Dancing Rain's attacks. At the same time, their bodies flashed with white light. Zhang Xinji's immovable rock was healing them. Attack these 2? Or interrupt the healer? Either way, there was no way for Su Mucheng to stop the 2 from reaching Boundless Sea. What about Yi Xiu? Lord Grimm was trapped by Zhang Jialei's shrinking blossoms of light. Previously, he had spread the light cover too wide. After the skills went on cooldown, he had no way of keeping it up. But he could do it if he shrunk the area of effect since he was only facing against Yi Xiu. Zhang Jialei didn't only respond to the situation at hand, but also thinking AEAD. A few seconds ago, Tyranny had been in an uncomfortable position. But in a short moment, they had turned it around. Under Tyranny's pressure, Happy's weakness at the moment was made clear. They had less people. Why? Why didn't Happy go all out with their ambush? Because Tang Rose Soft Mist had suffered heavy injuries during her escape. She needed time to heal. With her way of fighting, if she had entered the battle at critical health, Tyranny would have likely killed her off in one wave. Not even Happy's healer would be able to save her. Happy had set up their ambush, slowly bringing their players in to stall for time and let Soft Mist recover more health. But when their ambush was broken through, a fatal weakness was revealed. No wonder Tyranny pursued him so closely. They were biting fiercely onto Soft Mist's low health. Because of Soft Mist's low health, Happy is practically lacking a combatant. She can't directly join the fight. Could they have intentionally let Soft Mist go? They guided Happy into setting up this flimsy ambush. If Soft Mist had died, Happy would have a full health character on the battlefield. Wouldn't Happy's ambush be much more threatening then? When the pro players saw this scene, they started typing like crazy into the QQ chat group, discussing their viewpoints. Happy being in a disadvantageous spot hasn't changed since Tang Rou ran into Tyranny. Tyranny has been taking advantage of this point. Truly cunning. Just watching it scares me. What will Happy do? What about Tang Rou? Soft Mist. She has to come out and attack now. No. Maybe switch with that summoner. But it'll be difficult for a summoner to open up this situation. She's coming out. The pro players also had the spectator view. The broadcast also knew where the key point lay, and a small window appeared, focusing on Soft Mist. Fuck, this is staking it all on one throw. Everyone was surprised by Happy's move. Both Happy's battle mage and summoner had come out. In other words, they had switched out their healer. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1562, Former Radiance. Audio source, WuXiaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1562, Former Radiance. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. In the team competition of the playoffs, Happy switched out their healer. Everyone in the alliance knew how bold Happy was and knew that they would occasionally make an unconventional gambit. However, no one thought that they would dare to do so in this life and death playoffs match. A fully offensive team, staking everything in one throw. In competitive play, these two phrases went hand in hand. When the formation came into play, it meant that there was no retreating. A team without a healer could only push forward in attack. There was no second option. However, in the eyes of the pro players spectating the match, none of them felt like Happy was at a point where they need to take this step. Suma Chung's Dancing Rain stood at an absolutely safe position, and with her support, it wouldn't be a problem for Yishu's Lord Grim to climb back up again and reach a safe position. Feng Rui's Boundless Sea was being attacked by 3 players and was indeed in a difficult situation, but with his cunning, he should be able to escape if that was his only goal. The confidence in Feng Rui from the pro players showed just how much trouble he had given them over his career. However, after watching for a while longer, they realized that if Feng Rui wanted to rely on his dirtiness to escape today, he would encounter an obstacle that he had never encountered before. Among the players attacking him was one called Lin Jingyan. The one who understood him the best was his opponent. Roll, twist, feint, turn. Through Boundless Sea's dirty tricks, Han Wenqing's Desert Dust staggered into a bad position. Song King was still too inexperienced and lacked the foresight. His River Sunset wanted to attack, but he discovered that he was being blocked by his teammate, Desert Dust. Did he escape? A brick crashed into Boundless Sea's face. Lin Jingyan's Dark Thunder. The attack wasn't nearly as striking as the attacks from the 2 strikers, but whenever Boundless Sea was able to create an opening, Lin Jingyan's Dark Thunder would always be there to seal it off. It had only been a short moment, yet it had already happened 3 times. It had only been a short moment, yet Boundless Sea had already lost a third of his health. Because of Lin Jingyan, Han Wenqing and Song King could focus fully on attacking because the task of preventing Feng Rui from escaping belonged to Lin Jingyan. If not, Han Wenqing's and Song King's assault wouldn't have been so lacking that Feng Rui could find 3 openings in such a short amount of time. All of it was because Han Wenqing and Song King didn't care about giving him openings because Lin Jingyan had their backs. In the group arena, Lin Jingyan had been the main reason that Tyranny had fallen behind. However, he was now Tyranny's most trusted player. Number 4. He had successfully stopped Feng Rui for a 4th time. Feng Rui was starting to panic. Not a single peep came from him. Of the 3 players attacking him, 2 of them were strikers who were close-quarter specialists. How could he have any time to spare to type out any trash talk? In the beginning, he thought that he would be able to easily escape from those two blockheads, but after being stopped twice by Lin Jingyan's Dark Thunder, he realized that those two weren't stupid. If he wanted to escape, his opponents weren't those two, but his old partner. After changing classes, he had taken advantage of the fact that his opponents were unfamiliar with the new Qi Master Feng Rui. Unfortunately, his old partner was still able to keep up with his thoughts and his pace even after he had changed classes. If he wanted to escape, he needed to find a way to break through. He needed to do something he had never done before. Feng Rui suddenly stopped trying to escape and started defending and dodging, doing his best to survive. Give up on escaping? Quietly wait to be rescued. The spectators were all thinking the same thing. After all, they knew about Happy's strategic decision, and Feng Rui obviously knew about it too. And when Yi was switched out for Luo Ji, this sort of decision wasn't something that Wen Yi could decide on his own. Yi Shu had clearly given the order in Happy's team chat. As a result, Feng Rui also knew that his team was coming full force to rescue him. It was unlikely that Tyranny wouldn't think of Happy coming to rescue him, but it was unlikely that they would expect Happy to give up on their healer. In Tyranny's preparations against Happy's rescue operation, Tyranny would likely be considering either a battle mage and cleric, or a summoner and cleric situation. Was Happy trying to surprise Tyranny? The pro players thought about this question, but it didn't look like Tyranny planned on making any changes. After Feng Rui stopped trying to escape, the three attackers kept the same formation. The two strikers went all out in their offense, while Lin Jingyan was on guard. Feng Rui was even more annoyed. However, he hadn't given up on escaping, because he was quite clear about the high risks of switching out their healer. He knew that the reason Happy had made such a risky decision was because of his current predicament. If he could safely escape, Su Mucheng was already safe, and Yishu could easily escape as well. In that case, Happy could regroup and try a different strategy. There was no need to gamble everything on one throw. Feng Rui's thoughts had originally been the same as the other pro players watching. Happy shouldn't need to have to make such a risky play in this important life and death match yet. But soon, he changed his mind. Right now, he was in the predicament. He was the breakthrough that Tyranny had seized. He was the one who wasn't able to escape, pulling Happy down along with him. Although it wasn't like escaping from a 1v3 was ever an easy task, Feng Rui hated how he was the weak point. Tang Ru and Luo Ji would come soon, but Feng Rui still wanted to try and change the current situation before they arrived. However, Tyranny wasn't going to fall for it. He faked his true intentions to try bait Tyranny into changing their approach, but Tyranny refused to do so. Truly a bunch of stubborn bastards. With no time to type out any words, Feng Rui could only curse at them inwardly. He was truly annoyed at Tyranny. How could he know that in reality, when he began faking his true intentions, Lin Jingyan immediately warned Tyranny. Ignore it. In the end, Lin Jingyan had seen through him. After Feng Rui changed classes, Lin Jingyan wasn't used to the way his Qi master played either. However, Lin Jingyan understood how Feng Rui thought. Oftentimes, he wasn't predicting what Feng Rui would do, but predicting how Feng Rui wanted to do it. He wasn't looking at Feng Rui's methods, but rather his intentions. With his two teammates pressuring Feng Rui, he was able to get a more precise read on him. Feng Rui saw that his plan wasn't working and could only try switch it up again. If trickery doesn't work, then try brute force. Feng Rui decided. He tossed aside his dirtiness and suddenly began trying to brute force his way out. At this moment, a message popped up in Happy's team chat. Lin? The message came from Yishu. Artillery fire soon followed. Su Mucheng's dancing rain suddenly increased the pressure towards his side. In an instant, artillery shells rained down. Perfect. Feng Rui cheered. This sort of surprise almost made him cry out in excitement. Team competition. On this stage, you were never alone. When you need help the most, your teammate would always support you. Boom, boom, boom. Artillery shells blotted the sky. Amidst the flames, Boundless Sea swung his fists, speary. The swirling chi carried Boundless Sea as he shot forward. His target, Dark Thunder. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. To break through, Feng Rui chose his old partner. Familiarity was something both sides could use as weapons. Feng Rui felt like he had a better chance breaking through against Lin Jingyan than those two strikers. Moreover, Su Mucheng was providing support towards this side, which came from Yishu's orders. It seemed like Yishu had thought the same as him. Dark Thunder backed away. He dodged Dancing Rain's artillery fire, while also getting out of the way of the spiraling chi. His retreat was straight as an arrow. He tried his hardest to maintain the distance between the two of them, refusing to let out an opening. Tyranny had lost 1 point in the group arena because of him. He wasn't going to give up another opening, not just for this match but for this entire year, perhaps even for his entire life. In this short moment, Lin Jingyan had completely forgotten his age. He completely forgot what would come next. He only knew that he needed to stop Feng Rui from escaping no matter what. Right now, Dark Thunder wasn't a character controlled by a faltering old general, but by a dazzling one. He was clearly just jumping backwards, but the rhythm he did it felt smooth and easy. Jump, jump, jump. He jumped backwards in a straight line. The spiral chi rush tore through the air, but it was never able to reach Dark Thunder. This attack, supported by Dancing Rain's artillery fire, was unexpectedly unable to dig out an opening from Lin Jingyan. Feng Rui immediately wanted to attack again, but to his surprise, Lin Jingyan reacted far faster than he could. It was as if Lin Jingyan had been waiting for this moment. Tiger Flips the Mountain. Double Crescent. Pain of Scars. The outdated Demon Subduer 3-hit combo once again shined brightly. Boundless Sea was knocked backwards. 2 injuries were torn out from Boundless Sea as the 2 crescents struck, leaving him bleeding. Boundless Sea had been completely blocked. Feng Rui was in a daze. He hadn't thought that Lin Jingyan would be able to reach this step. He thought that he had understood Lin Jingyan well enough. He was sure that his spiral chi rush would have been enough to break past Lin Jingyan's limits and send him flying back or forcing him to the side. But it wasn't enough. Lin Jingyan used the most direct method to dodge the spiral chi rush, using that outdated combo of his to counterattack. Feng Rui wanted to try break through by force, but in the end, Lin Jingyan had beaten him. Feng Rui suddenly realized that perhaps he only understood a portion of Lin Jingyan. The signature technique of Lin Jingyan's unexpectedly seemed so unfamiliar to him. End chapter.